What is going on, everybody? In this video, we're providing you a state of the market and stock picks for May 12th, 2023. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing as we do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this glorious market. So another flat day. Again, a lot of another big day of a lot of nothing. This is essentially why people say sell on May and go away, because typically from this span till roughly about June, you don't really have a lot going on, and a lot of people go on vacation and whatnots, and that's why the market really doesn't do a lot. And so you notice around times like this during the year that a lot of like meme stocks and stuff like that, meme stocks typically will pump and stuff like that. But things have just been really quiet. There's been a lot of talk about recession, a lot of worries, a lot of concerns. We sell 1 minute first thing in the morning, then we pump right back up and we just hold. So the market is definitely waiting for that next foot to drop. Again, market being held up by false this utopic view that things are just okay. I think people are starting to understand that things are pretty much in a bad shape. That's why essentially the market's kind of just been holding where it is. So, like I stated yesterday, pretty much from here on out, there might not be a lot going on. We are just waiting for news. If we don't get any news, we might not do anything. We have to also understand that you're coming out of earnings mode. So we might start seeing some more selling. We don't really know. The market might just be in a holding pattern until the next news article drops. We should start seeing some movement here in another week or so. Again, all depending on if there's news. If there's news that can break us either way to the upside or to the downside, again, more so looking for something to the downside. We'll see what happens. Again, the market is being cautious. That's why we're not going back to all-time highs, and the market isn't going to just sell off either, right? Because people are expecting a pivot. But you have to understand that a pivot leads to a recession. Is typically what happens. So this is why recessions occur. So if you watch the different levels of interest rates and how it works, we're talking about we've been level one for a while. We're potentially looking at a level two here where we start just pausing rates. And that's when you start getting a recession and the market wants to price in a recession. When will that happen? We don't know. Right. And that's not to say that anything else that is currently going on could snap the market and essentially collapse the market, right? Not collapse, but essentially crash the market. And one of these black swans that I talk about always here as well, because again, there's a lot going on, and not just like in a normal environment. You got a lot of potential suitors that could single-handedly take down the market. So, with that being said, again, tomorrow we're still looking at that 4160, and we're still trapped in between there and the 4100. So we'll see what happens. Again, don't expect it to break out at 4200. Not this week. Not till who knows? Maybe it's the next FOMC meeting notes. But as of right now, as you can see, I mean, we're consolidated. We've been essentially consolidating around this area for a very long time. We have skirted out of it a little bit, skirted it below it a little bit, but we've really just been holding pretty solid. And again, I think we want to price in a recession, and then where that lands us, who knows? I mean, like I've talked about down here, the 3200 is kind of roughly around normalization. I think would be at. Do we hit that low? There's no given it's going to hit that low, right? I think both sides of the party have it correct, but I think both sides of the party think one is just going to not dive back down, and the bears thinking that this thing is just going to absolutely collide and collapse, and it's going to be down to 2500. Nobody knows, right? There are extremes to both sides. I think we're going to fall kind of somewhere in between. I think we will fall close to 42 or 3200. And then from that point, I think we will recover quickly like everybody's expecting, but I think everybody's expecting it just not to fall. I think people think the bottom is in. I don't believe that to be true. I think once a recession is priced in, that will be the bottom. And then I think we will have potentially a pretty uh, big boom cycle after that. And I think there will be quantitative easing The timing of all that, I don't know. That's why I don't like to project too far out, because things can change all the time. But if I was to say, if I was a betting man, and that's what I was thinking, is kind of where I'm thinking the market's going. Once we get into this pause cycle, we price in a recession. From that point, the market corrects down or around 3,200, and then from that point, that's bottom, and we start heading back up. I think we will get in a boom cycle. I don't think we're going to go V shape and just going to go straight up. I think you're going to get a huge move after it when we do find a bottom. I don't think we're going to last long at that bottom. So that part, I would agree with the bulls that we would potentially explode out of that bottom, and then I think it would put us right back in the level we're kind of sitting at. So I kind of think we would fall down to the 3,200 and then shoot kind of back up to that 4K mark probably pretty quickly. So maybe we only get 2 weeks down roughly around the 3,200, maybe just a week is kind of what I'm thinking. And then we would probably recover pretty quickly from that point. Again, it all depends on the series of events that occur when it starts to give. And so that's what you got to kind of pay attention to. And you look back even at the pandemic, which I think you're not going to get a pandemic move out of this, but that took 2 months and it dropped huge. Do I see that big of a drop? I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that big of a drop. But even if you priced in, they're saying roughly another 10, 20% from where we're at. It kind of puts us at the average that I was talking about early last year for recession. But, you're still looking at roughly a 20%. So you're looking roughly around that 32, which would make us a new low. That's what I've been kind of talking about. And I think we're really going to kind of hit around that 32 again, but it's all kind of about the timing there. So we'll see what happens nonetheless. So that's what we're looking for technical wise there. Bitcoin is coming down. Again, there's a lot of drama again following the ordinals, NFTs, and potentially rolling back. That is kind of put a damper on Bitcoin. We'll see what happens going forward. The last thing you want, and then Binance and Coinbase, Coinbase potentially leaving the U.S. I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios that could essentially be a good blow to Bitcoin that would drop it back down to really low. And then, like I said, I think things would recover quickly. You would have maybe a week or two at a bottom, and then the market would start recovering from there. So we'll see, right? There's no way of knowing, but again, being in the market, having a feel for the market, that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, is that's what would happen, is we'd have one last bottom around the 3,200, and then we would recover. Bitcoin would be the same. I don't think Bitcoin's going to break away from this one. I think after we recover from this one, yes, I think it will do very well in the boom cycle with the market. But again, understand that it's not going to just decouple and just do its own thing. It's not going to do that. It has to run in the same cycles as the regular market. I don't think it's ever going to get to a point to it decouples that much. I think that would be way, way in advance if that ever was the case, right? Like if the dollar wasn't essentially the world currency, right? Then maybe that you would maybe you could say something different about that. But right now, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Decoupling, I think, is very far in the distance, in my opinion. And I'm seeing that more and more, just the way the market reacts and the way Bitcoin is reacting. So, but we'll see. Time will tell. I mean, you never know. So, Tesla again starting to chop. Just like the market, it can't break out over the 174, and it's really holding the 166. Again, could be interpreted as a higher low here. So we could be looking for a new low lower than the 152, which again could potentially put us around the 140. Strong possibility to fill that gap, and then we go from there and see if we continue to push down. Again, tech is definitely going to be hurting on the way down if that's the case. Palantir, we'll see how this does. Again, it did good for earnings, but it's starting to cycle out of earnings mode. Give it another day or two. If it can't break above 1027 here, I think this thing is going to come. It's going to backfill this hole at least back down on the 794, and then we'll see where it goes from there. If it wants to chop around here, again, depending on what the general market sentiment is, I think really to let you know what's going on with that. BA, of course, it really hasn't done anything since we spoke of it last time. 222, 195. We're watching those levels to see if it breaks. but nothing really exciting with BA. BA is just never exciting. In a boom cycle, it's got probably some better moves. One thing to keep in mind there, though, is with stocks like this, you could play when stocks play zones very well like this. You could just buy the bottom, sell the top, buy the bottom, but sell the top, right? If you find stocks like this that are well-known stocks that just do this all the time, I mean, the market in general has been doing that. But if you find a big range, like this is a pretty decent-sized range here. It's almost a 10-point range or so. So about a 10-point range, you buy the bottom, sell the top, buy the bottom, sell the top. I mean, you've kind of been doing that essentially for almost 3 months now. So, but we'll see what happens there. With that, JPM again, kind of just barely holding roughly the 134. We'll see if you're going to hold that. If you want this thing higher, it needs to break the 143. But again, I think it's going to at least come down to the 127 and see if it tests that level. Again, expecting it to kind of break this nastiness down here. These parabolic moves essentially almost always get tested. It's very rare it doesn't. So we'll see what happens here. But I expect this to at least come down to like 114, 110 roughly at some point. The question is when. Again, we're still got to get out of like earnings cycle. We were only a couple of days away or it's been about a week now since Apple earnings. So we'll see what happens tomorrow and more so next week, right? I think that will kind of shake off the last of Apple earnings, and then at that point, hopefully get some more news. So, but that is pretty much what I got. It's tomorrow's a Friday, so it's short. So we'll see what happens. Again, I'm really not expecting a lot. Anything can happen overnight, so just again be mindful of that. And then we'll take it from there. So just manage risk, and as long as you can be patient. I really feel like this move's going to head down to a new low. And then if you are patient enough and can wait, it may not. Also understand that too. But if it does, could really be the point in where you can really cash in. But again, none of this is financial advice. If you made it this far, I do appreciate you. You go ahead, drop a like. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.